Hola, film gods. Another week, another rep. Managed to keep doing this week in, week out. I'm sure there'll be a time that it gets super busy and getting guests on gets a little trickier, but whilst I can, one a week is what I'm aiming for. And so welcome any of you first-time listeners. My name is Isusko Garcia. And on the socials, I am the time scheduler. This is the Film Gods podcast, which is now in its 5th year. And we talk to film crew and cast, mainly in the UK, but looking to now start going global and talking about their journey. We've had a few different type of episodes. And this one is one of those where I was on the social media having a little doom scroll, as you do, at an afternoon. And a post from the director was on the feed, and it showed some of his work and a supposedly AI generated fake KFC test commercial. And it was a really interesting post, because the supposed commercial was originally, when posted, said that it was completely built and used in AI. And when you saw the director's actual work for KFC and this test commercial, it highlighted the very thin veil between, I guess, imitation and plagiarism. And there's a quote by Oscar Wilde that I'm just going to quickly look up about imitation, because it really did summarize it for me. And the quote is, and maybe I should use an Oscar Wilde, but I feel like Oscar Wilde would have spoken like this, like a Brian Blessed, Oscar Wilde. But imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. There you go, that's my best Oscar Wilde / Brian Blessed. And when the initial ad came out, it had a load of really positive kind of, oh my God, AI is amazing. And then the more you dug into it and the more it was looked into, it became apparent that the shots seemed almost identical to the shots that were created and the adverts that were created by other directors for KFC. And the company / director in question that made it got a bit of a hammering, and I'm not here to hammer anyone, because I always like to keep it positive, and I like to always be, I guess positive, and just good energy is always something that I feel like is important. And that's why I didn't want this episode to just be like a bashing of someone. But what I did want to do is have a conversation with the people that made some of the adverts that were then supposedly used in the fake test commercial, and just have a open and honest conversation about where AI is, where it is on its journey for content creation and the use of it, because I think it's a blurry line. And I think as we go deeper into this world of technology creating, the positive that I took away from the episode was that AI actually isn't where we think it is currently. And you can't just type into whatever program, hi, make me a KFC commercial, and then it spits out this beautifully formed, engaging, creative piece of original content. So as long as all these AI need original content, there'll always be a need for us being film crew and cast, to make original content that AI can then use. And it's going to be a conversation that we're going to be having for God knows how many years to come. But this felt like one of the early incidents, may I say, where actually the idea of AI and what it can do wasn't exactly how it was described by its original creator. And so I think you're going to have a wonderful time listening. The two people that we have on, we've got the director and the DP of one of the KFC commercials, and it's a wonderful listen. So please engage. Thank you to everyone that takes that kind of 10 seconds at the end of the ep just to go on to the Spotify's and the Apple podcast, just to give the podcast a 5-star rating if you liked it. That 20 seconds that it takes for you to do that means so much to us. And it does such wonders for the podcast, and it gets it out and it allows more people to see it. And thank you to all you Film God family who are listening week in, week out. This is a labor of love. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's become a part of my week, and I hope that it becomes part of and stays part of my life for many, many years to come. So thank you to you for listening and for sharing and for rating and reviewing it. Thank you to our sponsors, Creative Caves. Massive shout out to Cine Certified, again, doing wonderful things for the camera department in the UK. So go listen to their ep. And also for anyone that hasn't, please listen to last week's or the week before's ep, The Last Swim. And if you can, go and see it in the cinema. Do something, put your hand in your pocket, give it to the cinema, go and see Last Swim. It's by a dear friend of mine, Sasha Nathwani, who came up through the commercial world as a runner, knew that he was going to be a director from very early on, and just committed to it and made it happen for himself. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me your time, which is one of the greatest commodities that we have as human beings. Enjoy it, share it, and let's get straight to the ep.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So, ladies and gents, Film God family, welcome to a wonderful ep where we have two very magical guests who I saw a post online and it really summarized a thought and a feeling that I've been having about the topic that we're going to be having today. But actually, just offline, I've just had another kind of intuitive vision of where the industry is going and how best we can maybe all just try and help each other out. So I don't want this to be negative. We're going to be positive, but I think it's very important that we have these conversations now because we are the generation that will formulate the industry for the generations to come. So without any further waffle chat from your good self, what is your role? What's your name and what's your role on the call sheet?
Simon.
No, you should go first, Joris.
That's not seniority, man.
Oh, he's seeing age. Already started already.
41.
Jesus.
I look up to you, Simon.
Get out of here. All right, I will start because I want to gloss over this bit. I'm director of photography. I do TV commercials mostly, not exclusively, but mostly. And I've been around a while. Many years, in fact, and had the good fortune to travel the globe, working in lots of countries with lots of different great people, incidentally of which I've never found a bad crew. They're all amazing, all aiming in the same direction. My background is, well, I just came through semi-traditional route, certainly from a runner to a studio assistant to a loader. Then I took a sidestep to motion control, did a couple of animation features many, many years ago, and then into commercials, really. And then I've done a couple of live action features more recently, but it's mainly commercials and also food and drink, which is what this blog is about today, I think. Mm-hmm. Tried to specialize a little bit in food, but not exclusively. and now I'm starting to get boring. So
Okay,
I don't think there's
amazing.
much to say about me.
No, I hear you. I like
You know,
it.
I live in London, and I have worked and do work for a lot of great directors who are
Amazing.
too numerous to mention. But one of them is Joris, and he should go next. Joris, take
No,
it
thank you,
away.
Simon. I'm Joris. I'm based out of Amsterdam, but work globally. I would call myself a food and kids director. And what does that mean? That I direct a lot of food spots, and I do a lot of jobs where kids play a very big role. So I kind of specialize in working with kids, and sometimes I have the good fortune where the scripts overlap, and then it's bingo. I also I didn't go to film school. I studied history of all things, but always had a fascination for film. Wanted to become a feature film director, but I thought commercials would be a good way to start and sort of learn the craft. But I fell in love with it, and now really specialize on commercials only. And I've put my feature film dreams in the fridge because I feel really happy where I am. I feel very fortunate to also fly the globe to interesting projects, cool clients, working in different countries. So I love what I'm doing, and I intend to do it for at least the next 5 to 10 years.
Perfect. Love it. And then that leads us nicely into what I'd love to really talk about today, which was one of your projects for KFC. Well, a KFC project that you did. I saw someone else had, I'd say for the first initial part, borrowed some of your creative styles and the shots to then make a wider commercial for the same brand, but not for them, just using some of their stuff. And it just really showed me because it looked like the timings of the shots looked the same. The framings of the shot looked pretty much identical. The lighting, the scene, everything's kind of seemed pretty much what you guys had shot. And I think what I wanted to kind of dive into is, where do we sit now? We the standard model of client agency production company, that's still there, but flexing slightly. Sometimes agencies have got in-house production, sometimes clients have got in-house agencies, so the models are changing. But in essence, you get a script, you turn it into boards, those boards go down to Simon then goes on a recce, looks at everything that we're going to shoot, and the two of you kind of then come up with a plan of 35 from here, a 60mm from there, a tracking shot, a jibbing shot, or something. So the creative process to take what is a client's, we need a new spot for a chicken commercial, down to you guys, which is the locations, the look of the cast, the feel of the room, the lighting, all of those creative decisions that you made on that shoot. Then I see in someone else's shot, it kind of feels like we're in a murky, slight world of copyright. I kind of open bracket plagiarism, but it wasn't a commercial for KFC. It was just a test one. But where are we sitting now, and how much of it do we own? How much of the creative process is being just put into a supercomputer that can just then regurgitate all of those creative decisions that you've made on the day?
Yeah, well, there's a lot to unpack there.
A lot to unpack. Thought I'd just
yeah,
get it
a lot
out
to
straight
unpack.
away, because then I can just shut up and listen.
So I think that, first of all, copying or borrowing or being inspired by is all very vague lines, and it happens all the time. And I done a commercial for an air fryer, and I saw that film almost copied shot by shot for another brand somewhere, God knows where in the world. Did it piss me off? Not really, because I thought, wow, I would have loved to be hired by them, but it looked quite cheap. So I thought maybe they didn't have the money. They went for something else. They were super inspired. And that happens all the time. And I do it myself as well. You look at some shot and you think, wow, that could be really cool. But you try to give it your own spin, hopefully add something to it. And then I don't think nobody is really frustrated by that. Why I feel that this example is different because AI is in the mix. And I think a lot of people are very, very scared for their job security, what it means for the future. And I think a lot of people are scared to become obsolete. So when you are copied by some guy in Argentina, he's also just trying to make a living. Who cares?
Yes.
And if they want the real good stuff, they go to the source, not to the copycat, I would assume. Where I feel with AI it's different is that, potentially it's cheaper, potentially it's easier. So what is it going to mean for, our industry going forward? I think anybody who says that they know, they're, talking, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say bullshit.
You can say whatever the fuck you want. I'll swear
okay.
first. So fuck shit bollocks. Now you can say whatever you want.
It's bullshit because nobody knows where it's going to go going forward. But because of that insecurity, I think this was such, the example that we're speaking about here is such a big trigger. Simon, I don't know if you want to add something to that.
Well, I'm going to add slightly different angle, which is, I think what people got in this instance, and I think, AI will come. Hopefully it'll be a bit like records. Hopefully we'll always people will want to still make things without AI, and people will be able to tell, because you can tell at the moment. But AI will grab a certain amount of the market. But I firmly believe that it's not as close as we think. I don't think this test, the thing that I was slightly peeved about, and certainly a lot of people are angry about online, is it was claimed to be AI had invented this from scratch, or a director had worked with AI to make this from scratch. And I think he even said it only cost $600 or $400 or something like that to make. Also, there were some claims about money. And the thing is, what it's doing is it's suggesting to the world everything that we're potentially scared of is here. And I don't think it is. I think broadly it was copied from our work. And certainly I think there's being influenced by and copying two ends of the scale. This certainly the food shots that we did together that are on there, loads of them, the lighting was like the same, exactly same lighting, exactly same colors, angles, directions. The moves were exactly the same, which is quite interesting, really, because we did AI. I don't know how they do moves, but we did all our moves by hand, so nothing was done by a computer, and which meant there were accelerations and decelerations, and that it felt like they were in the AI one as well. So I'm not quite sure how it was. They haven't really revealed. I wouldn't so much. There are a few things left out of his explanation video, because he tries to. It's suggested that it was all done by AI, but I'm not sure it was. There's a lot of 3D. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know how it was done, to be honest.
Yeah, the explanation video, you watch it and you go, well, there just looks like there's a lot of stuff that's built 3D modeled that he's just kind of extrapolated what was in shot to then create it again. It doesn't say, for me, the AI thing is, give me the input, give me a TV commercial for KFC with some nice tracking moves, donk, get something. But I think where I looked at the two videos side by side, and just the shots that were taken and the shots that you used, the timing, the lighting, the visuals, everything was seen pretty much there or thereabouts, No,
but that's what raises so much questions, is what are we actually looking at? Because if he tried to see how easily he could copy a commercial, AI can do that for you, but it's a lot simpler than spending 300 hours.
Yes.
You can almost do that with the press of a button. If you want to show your AI skills by saying, like, okay, I extrapolated what makes a KFC commercial, I let AI analyze that, and then I made a new commercial that is showing different products, different camera moves, different characters, but it feels like exactly like in line with our commercials. then it would be like, oh wow, because then, but now it is neither that nor that. It's an exact copy that apparently took very long. So what is it saying? What is it meaning? It just raises a lot more question than it answers, I would say.
I would say that he's trying to protect his business, if I had to guess. And we're analysts. We know what we're doing. All of us, all three of us, and probably a lot of people that will watch this blog know how to see what the difference between 3D and AI even, and live action and copying. Now, I think he's just trying to protect his business. He has a business and he has some good show reels of AI, supposed AI. And he wants the business. And I think his explanation is for those businesses rather than for us. That's why it's a little bit confusing to us, because it doesn't really tell us all the details. So I think he's just protecting his business. I mean,
where does it sit though in the copyright? Because I was speaking to a producer and they were saying that in the PIBs now, there's a lot that needs to be. I mean, it's in stills photography, it's a lot easier because there's royalties, there's usage, there's a lot of contractual work that goes in before the camera starts to turn about who owns what. And then we come along, we get an idea that is kind of, the crux of the commercial is the client saying we want something. The agency have come up with something, but then the director has a very clear objective of the boards and the idea, and then you as a camera team come in and then execute that, and things need to tweak. So there's no real ownership of anything, but everyone owns a part. As you said, it was like the camera move was a hand move that is a natural movement that does speed up and slow down, like old Led Zeppelin songs where they don't have a clicker track and the drumming goes a little bit faster, a little bit slower. That human element to it, I think where I'm now starting to wonder where do we go is, well, who actually owns those rights to the creative, and does it just go to the client, and can they just then take what you've shot and slightly tweak it in AI and then push out another commercial with what you've already done?
Well,
scary one to answer.
Yeah. I'm not a copyright lawyer, and so I don't know. And I think we're also probably the wrong people to ask. The thing is that even this sounds like a bigger problem than it is, in a way that, that is what's already happening. I get sometimes a board and they say like, hey, this was shot in Asia with Asian talent, but the European client wants the same. Can you shoot the board shot for shot?
Wow.
It's already happening, okay. I'm not sure that is, probably the client, I think, owns the copyright already. If I never had to sign anything over. So I think being protected by European copyright law, if you really want to make a case, you can, but are we going to sue KFC? Not a chance. So I don't think that is actually also where we as creatives should put our focus at the moment. I think that we should really think hard and experiment with AI to see where it can help us. I agree with Simon's earlier point that I don't think it's as far as we think it is. I really like the term uncanny valley, where things still feel off. And, if you look at what Will Smith eating pasta 2 years ago, it looked horrible, but we were like, mind blown.
I only just found out about this last week. I only found out about Will Smith eating pasta. I was like, what the fuck?
It looks great, but it still looks off. And I wonder if that uncanny valley is it's never going to leave. I think it's just going to shift. We're going to just pick up on more subtle details that things are off. So, and I think for a long time to come. So in that sense, I think AI does something that humans already do for a very long time, and it's having, sort of a mental library of things you saw, things that inspire you, and put that in kind of a blender, and that's your new creative output. And AI just does that from a bigger library in a faster time. But I still feel that why was specifically this KFC content copied? Because it looks so iconic. And that is because we thought long and hard on how to make it look like it did. And there was some choices we made that made it very easy for AI to kind of copy it, because you could just say, like, we want the food very, big in the foreground, looking very orangey. Then we have like very bluish light in the background and some red neon signs. So if you would shoot anything like that, it will immediately feel very KFC. But we had to come up with that. And I wonder if AI is going to be good at coming up with that initial concept. So I agree that, it's going to be easier to, if you have like the chicken burger with yellow sauce and there's a new red sauce, AI will probably be able to copy the sauce and push out a new commercial. So it will mean something for the market, but I feel like the truly more creative part of advertising, filmmaking, the concept will become much more important. And I think that there is where we're going to make the difference. And last point is that I feel like, why did I get into filmmaking? Because it's a collaborative art. The spot got better because Simon and I spent a long time talking about which lenses to use, which camera moves to use, how can we make it sort of look distinctive. And I think it's much harder to do that by yourself behind a computer prompting. You need the inputs from set design, lighting, all the different departments to come together to create something that looks as good as it does. And I don't think that truly creative part is happening by a person by themselves.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I want to. The grip was absolutely amazing, and he's responsible for making the most ridiculous rigs, and us getting all those shots that look like we've used a
bolt.
A bolt, yeah, and but we didn't.
Oh, everything, all of the shots that you did in that spot were all, there was no technological. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got there and I said, I remember arriving and saying to Joris, have we got a bolt? And Joris said,
you got the next best thing. We got Mr. Bolt. He's the grip.
Yeah. No. He said, no, we haven't. Sorry, we can't. The budget won't allow. Or there's one there was one in South Africa that was busy, or one that they could have afforded was busy, and there wasn't one available one. So we said, I said, Joris, it's okay. There's a certain amount we can do by hand, but we were able to do more than that because we got the right grip. He was brilliant, local guy, put his heart and soul into it. And he was great. He was fantastic. The sky's the limit. In fact, we all got into it because it was like loads of boys together. And just trying to build Meccano rigs and make them go faster and faster and faster, dangerously so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was good.
And I think that added to the character of the work as well, because it came from not having the money for a robot, but what I really fell in love with, which I now tend to gravitate more and more towards, is sort of the analog feeling of some grip solutions, because the bolt feels clinical. It's kind of too perfect. So I end up sometimes adding camera shake to a bolt shot to give it a more handheld feel, because I kind of want to replicate that sort of human element in it that makes it feel less, clean and almost off-putting.
Which is interesting that we're kind of we've started talking about kind of like the AI and the technology, but actually we're kind of talking about technology as a whole compared to the human, the soul, the piece of the filmmaking that is imperfect. And I think that also ties in nicely with the bigger for me, and problem's the wrong word, because industries are always constantly evolving. I was watching, my son just got into horrible histories, and I'm going to paint a horrible picture, but there was, for many years, there was no toilets. So everything would be on the side of the road and people would shovel it into things. And all of a sudden the toilet came and totally destroyed someone's, work that was their generational, their grandfather did it, their great grandfather did it. And I think where we're going now with technology is that every generation has had its own issues, has had its own changes, has had its own evolution that could have been seen as a negative thing. Digital to film, there were some people that didn't really ever want to shoot in digital. I think moving forward, technology will always be part of human endeavor and human creativity, and it's what and how we embrace it and evolve it. But is there a side to AI that potentially does do away with humans? Is there a section of creative content that suddenly it's got enough? It's been ingesting, and we've been creating for another 5 years, 10 years, and then that's it. It's AI can now just go, no, I've got all the info I need. We don't need any humans to create anything more. Is there that paranoid thought that is my paranoid thought that film sets will become less human and jobs will become more AI?
I would say probably yes in the future. Definitely be bit by bit. I think it hit that paranoia you were talking about. It's in all of our heads. It hit a very wide crowd. I don't know how many views, over 2 million views, and it hit a lot of people, and a lot of people were upset about it. A lot of people said sue, which of course we can't, and I wouldn't even want to begin to do anything like that. I don't think we own it, or we don't. But that's why it was so popular, because we are a bit scared of AI and what the future is going to bring. However, going back to what Joris said and what I said earlier, I don't think it's that close, because what he did, if anyone, for those who know, what he did isn't actually that clever, and it's not AI didn't do it. Well, AI probably did do stuff, but it didn't create. It didn't come up with all those things that Joris and I came up with for the initial concepts, and all that creativity we actually put in. So when he mentions, so
I agree
that, and I think we can still keep doing that. Certainly, I don't think it's that close. Do you, Joris? I think we've got at least.
No. So what scares me is the rapid development. So what like, it feels like AI has been around for 10 years, but it hasn't. If you look at things from 2 years ago, it looks horrible, and now things look great. So double the amount of time, and we're just 2 years ahead in the future. So that scares me. And I do think that, for a lot of parts of the creative process, it's just going to change things a lot. Like treatment writing is going to change a lot over the short amount of time. Image research for treatment is going to change a lot. Like rotoscoping, post-production work, all those things are going to be influenced in the very near future. For the bigger creative decisions, I think we're further away. I also feel that things really move in trends. So I think AI is very good in kind of, it's fast fashion, but it doesn't set the trend. Nobody's going to find the next big fashion trend on Temu or some other, you find it somewhere else, and the fast fashion follows it. And I feel like that's a bit what I see AI happening, is that, when everything is possible and everything looks good, nothing does. We're going to get interested in something different, And I do think that we, particularly in the food industry, are going to get that blow first, because it's just much easier to have caramel drip over a strawberry looking fantastic. With AI, it's relatively simple. I think that's going to be replacing a lot of sort of slow motion, tabletopy things relatively quick. But I also think we're going to get extremely bored of that imagery very quick. So then AI is not going to set what is going to be the trend then. So we're going to get bored, and somebody's going to come up with, what? I just want to have it different. And I don't know, film it with their phone, film it really crappy, or involve more human elements, like I want to have things in my hand and how the hand moves and how the person looks. And then that's going to be the trend, and maybe AI is going to follow that. So I agree. It's nowhere near replacing us in the short term. I think it's going to replace aspects of us, but as an industry as a whole, I don't think so.
Good.
No, not for a long while. I mean, I'd like to see some evidence, but this isn't evidence, fortunately, yet. So people can calm down a little bit at the moment. Like I say, like Joris says, post-production, I've got a lot to fear now. But as Joris says, the ideas, the way people, I don't think I can quote them, but who came up with the whole Lurpak look, that came out of nowhere. And doubtless there are countless other great creative ideas, visual creative ideas that come out of seemingly out of nowhere. But essentially, as we know, the chaos theory, you have a certain amount of events, and what comes out of that is a new look. And AI is not going to be able to do that because it only it relies on everything that's already happened. So, and also I can say that AI did not pick our stuff randomly. It was picked by a human.
Yes.
And I don't know what happened after that, but it was picked by a human, and we can see that. I can see it on my analytics. So,
yeah, I think from not having been too deep into the 2 million views side of life, but kind of the more I try to unpick what was the narrative of how it happened, it seemed because it kind of this chap that made it does give a few of the directors whose works they've kind of used a shout out, but it very much feels like
he didn't first,
sketch.
I've got to say.
Oh, okay, fine.
He didn't do that at first. Unfortunately, he didn't mention any of us at first, did he, Joris?
Right.
Nobody was mentioned.
Fine.
And then he didn't.
Well, that's where the uproar is. The wonderful Mr. Simon Paul, guys. Come on, hashtag him in.
Or maybe DLPs don't get a mention. I don't know, but
but also from that perspective, it's as creative as the director's role is, the DP's role on set is one for me probably the most important, because you've got, not only do you have camera, you've also got grips, you've also got lighting. There's a lot of creative input that sits on your shoulders, and the two of you are needing to kind of problem solve and bounce ideas on the hoof on the day, especially when you go to the place like South Africa. If you do have a bolt, you can't really use it that often because they've got power outages, and everything that you just programmed for the last 2 hours just gets lost. So actually the cleverest thing to do is use a grip who is so used to being a motion control machine. And I do love what I've taken away so far from this is, as wonderful as AI is, and I don't think now the more I talk about it, what that job, the KFC, doesn't look like it's too much AI. It looks like it's a lot of back-ended skeleton, just 3D modeling, and then just thrown a bit of AI as the outer shell. What I love to hear is people doing what you do at the forefront and at the top of the game, kind of going, look, for us to keep moving forward, we need to be creating new things. And it's those new things that then AI will then come off the tail of and piggyback off. And without us pushing forward and without us making these beautiful things, there isn't going to be anything that AI can do. And look, there's going to be a load of brands that will only probably ever use AI just because it's cheaper and faster and whatever, if it does end up that way. But I think the human endeavor in the creative industry, I think, is what we should be championing. And I said the other day to someone who was like, where we have a PG sticker on a film, we should have a little logo that just says AI. And if everything was made in AI, then that commercial, everyone knows that nothing in there is real and that everything is AI. And actually, when you see a brand that wants to touch human emotions and speak to people, like, British Airways, because their stewardesses talk to human beings, they probably would never use AI because they want to have that soul-to-soul connection of human beings.
Yeah, well put. Good point.
Yeah, but I think that also assumes that people care. And I don't think they necessarily do. And I think they shouldn't, like.
What do you mean by that? Just explain that.
So for who would we put that little banner there? That's my question a bit, like, because if it's good work, if it touches me, if it stirs my emotions, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having that be done by AI somehow, or one part or the other. So
if it's done by AI, but I think the point is, if the creative is done by AI or the creative is done, it should be meant. I think that's the point, isn't it? The sticker is.
Yeah. So what does the sticker mean?
No, it's probably just for me, so I know who I don't want to work with in the future.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it's just the only issue here is it's not AI, and people assume that we're AI haters, and we're not.
No.
Um, it's the whole this whole online thing has been about the original creative. Now, your AI sticker, if it says this is AI create, I don't know. Actually, I don't know how you police this, but
No.
Well, I don't think you do because you don't police industries. Like, and that's why I feel like what we're trying to figure out at the moment, are we coal miners, Simon? You know, or is there a future for us? And like nobody cared if this, as the light bulb said, this was powered by coal or by wind turbines. Like
Okay.
you just want light out of your light bulb. And so I think that let's phrase it differently. Without stopping any technology or limiting anybody from using any tools that they want, how would you like to see the future with AI? What is your most positive horizon with this technology and having a job?
Well, you just said and having a job, which was I had a speech then, but then and having well, I guess something that I probably don't believe it will get used for. I'd like it to be used for good. I'd like people to have a decent living generally, wages to be good. If we're talking about a world of the future, and not necessarily in our industry, I don't think we can trust, I think we'd all probably agree that we can't trust big corporations to use it for the benefit of the masses. They'll be using it for more profit because greed is always king. So I suspect a lot of people will lose their jobs eventually. Not yet, not film people on set, not so much yet. I think we can sort of rest a little bit. Certainly post-production, as you said, Joris, but I'm repeating myself. But I would love it to be used for the good of everyone, but it's probably just going to be used for more profit, and which means people will make decisions on our commercials and say we'll do this one all in AI because it can be done for $400 and not for 100,000 euros or whatever the budget is. So that is that business doesn't care. Big business doesn't care. It cares more about profit, and it will use AI for that. There will be the sticking points will be things like food and people. I don't think we'll get away with doing AI. People kind of really do want to see real food. They don't want to see AI food.
Is there a advertising standards there that you can't show the not? It's like every time we've shot for Mackie D's or whatever, it needs to be the real burger and the real bun made in the real way with a little bit of extras. So I kind of hopefully that AI, it can't be an AI burger because you can't buy an AI burger in a real store.
I think that may have been their decision to insist on it. So they don't. The Trade Descriptions Act, isn't it, in this country? Okay. So you can't sell a big chunky 2-kilo burger in a Whopper when they only sell a much smaller one. So it has to be the real one, and it can't be a certain color. You can't dress it up as something you're not selling. So that's trade. Is that trade descriptions? I'm not quite sure. I think that's what it is. So they don't want to get in trouble, but also they want everyone to see their product and they want to sell their product. So I think it's their own self-regulation when they insist to use all their stuff. But it also might come under a greater umbrella of what are you selling? Are you selling something? Are you packaging something that actually in these commercials that you're not actually selling when you open the packet? And I think that will be in our favor, Joris. I think people will want to know that the real food's been shot, and also obviously all actors, so that actors have rights. So I just want to, if we're going to leave this blog with anything, I'd like to say it is not all doom and gloom. I think that movie was somebody slightly selfishly decided that he'd be the first one to release this. And I think he probably had his eye on the ball that KFC was doing AI stuff rather controversially. And he thought he'd get on that bandwagon, and he thought he'd be the first one, and he slightly cheated. So essentially, it's not here yet, and I think we'll still have to shoot food, and we'll still have to shoot actors. So it might be in the background, it might be out the window, it might be a plate, but I don't think it will be. We'll still be standing on set this year, next year, the year after, the year after, and the year after that, because people demand that the food they see is the stuff that is shot, and stuff they eat. They want to be the stuff they see on TV is the stuff they want to open their packet and find.
Yes.
So I think there are securities there, and it's not. We don't need to panic, and I think we're going to still keep making great little films and enjoying it and getting really excited by, as we did making those shots, getting really excited by what we were doing.
Nice. I guess I'd ask the same question back to you then, Joris. What do you envisage, or what's your ideal future for content creation, commercials, long form, for the creative industries and AI?
Well, I hope it's going to make things easier that used to be hard. I mean, if you need to shoot in a Christmas commercial in June, because that's when they kind of shoot them, and you want a snowy street, it would be fantastic to do it with AI.
It's funny you should say that. I went to the future of advertising for the APA, and we had William Bartlett, who is the senior executive creator, something like that, at Frame Store, and that is the exact thing that he said. He said, look, you're going to be filming all the stuff in June for Christmas, people dressed up, and you can dress the inside, but that exterior shot we can just build, and it just gives you a little bit more time to shoot the interior stuff with the people. Yeah. Nailed it.
What that means for a post house, I mean, yes. They might lose some business over that, but I feel like it ideally becomes more of like a tool in the toolbox. Like you want to shoot a grand exterior of some hard to visit location, let's create it in AI. So I hope that instead of taking things away from what we do, it just raises the bar of the creative output. That I was speaking to like some people on what it could mean and how they view the world going forward. And they say, we hope that people still pay 100,000 for like a 200,000 for a commercial, but with that money, they just get a better output instead of getting like something that is already kind of existing with AI for a lot cheaper. That would be my sort of ideal world, is where there's more emphasis on the human element within work, let it be actors or, well, one of the things I kind of dread sometimes is the writing of treatments, because it feels like it's a ton of work, and you need to find the pitch perfect references because the client kind of wants to see the commercial before they shoot it, and then you have the image of mother, child, the perfect sunlight, but the mother is wearing red, and red is the competitor color, and you put that, you're so happy with that image, you put it in treatment, and the client says, yeah, can we take that out of the treatment? And it feels also like tedious, and I would love if everybody can make the perfect treatment with AI. Shall we just have like a 10, 15-minute conversation with each other, see if there's a creative click, and then make the choice based on that? That's the world I would want to live in, where it's much more about, can we get a team together that is going to create magic in that specific moment with each other? And I think the director plays a big part in that, because, if you choose me as a director, I will bring my team, my DOP, people that I feel have a good creative connection with, is going to contribute to my vision, but hopefully also bring something of themselves to elevate the project. So I hope that there's more room for that sort of human element in the creation process, because I think that is the fun part. Like I still don't understand why it can do my laundry, but it's taking away my creative job. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's it. What was it? I saw the quote, I want AI to clean my dishes and do my laundry so that I can read more books and make more art. I was like, that's kind of it. That's
yeah.
I love it. Well, look, chaps, we're getting close to the 45-minute mark. And firstly, just from someone that's trying to really figure out from all angles where we're going, I really appreciate your time and your open and honest opinion on where we are and where we're going and how it's affecting us now and how it could affect us. Because I do honestly feel like we are the kind of the last generation that knew how it was done on 35 on film stages and are now going to be the ones passing that knowledge on and hopefully making it an industry that the next generation of film students and runners and creatives have somewhere to come in to let their creativity flourish and come out of them. Because I don't know about you, but if I'm not on a film set for a couple of weeks, that energy, that stored up kind of team effort and love of what we do just starts to turn me a little bit crazy, and I got to go for a walk or something like that. So look, as we reach this kind of 45-minute mark, there's always two questions that we finish the ep on, which is advice to younger self, and then anywhere to give anyone your shout outs to, or a project or whatever. But as a third, I just want to say, look, is there anything that you just want to summarize the ep, or anything that I haven't asked that you think would be useful, or any opinion that you want to get forward before we get to the last two questions?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm happy with what I've said so far.
Amazing.
Hopefully I don't look back on it. Regret it.
All right. Well, look, the last two Film God questions, and we always the last two, but the second to last important, which is the advice to younger self. I always find that people can really give a little bit of a golden nugget of an opinion, a thought, a feeling, an emotion that they wish they had known when they were younger. So I just, for both of you, whatever stage of your life that you got into the industry, that runner, the stagehand, what are you saying to that person now?
No, Joris, you're first this time. I have an answer.
Celebrate every milestone, because I notice, and that is, I'm saying it to my younger self, and I'm saying it to myself today, because I notice I've always have my eyes on the horizon. I'm always looking for the next challenge, but I think that it's really important to celebrate every little victory, be grateful for it, because otherwise there's never enough. And it's very good to kind of be in the moment, look at where you are, and take confidence from that, instead of always setting your goals on new heights and feeling never good enough. Beautiful.
Mr. Paul?
Interesting. I've been advice to my younger self. Ask. I think I was too shy when I was younger, and so always ask. And also, I'm very impressed by, I have a lot of potential trainees that will send me a CV, which doesn't count for anything, because I like the guys that actually knock on the door. Actually, I've got a studio, I'm here now, and they knock on the door and they pester in a very polite way, of course. And I really admire those people. And I think I would have got further quicker had I done that. And I mean, the yes is always the answer, as we all know, because we're in this industry. It always is, isn't it? I think we're actually very, very lucky, because as people in the film industry, we tend to have to get on with someone as soon as we meet them, and hence then we get a good day, and everyone has a good day. So we're good at teams. And I think there's a transition period when you come out of education, maybe, or from another industry. I came from working in restaurants and bars, and it's actually a different mentality. Everybody in the film industry is actually willing to give you a bit of their time and good advice and recommend you, and you don't know it. You walk around a film set, and every single person there, the grip, the DIT, any of the runners, or the catering even, can have a connection to your next job. So all those people are vital that you get on with them. So that whole teamwork thing is a natural progression that people in this industry should take up as quickly as possible to make a lot of friends, and you'll have a fruitful career. You make a lot of friends, you have a fruitful career. You get recommended for the most bizarre projects that you didn't see coming, simply because they liked you. So the people have got to like you. So ask people for opportunity and just try and make a good impression as early as possible.
Amazing. Beautiful. Well, we get to the last little moment now, and this is my space to give you, in case there's anyone that you want to give a shout out to, agent, parents, God, a project, whoever you want to say thank you to or give a shout out to, or just let people know your socials, please feel free to. So Joris, would you like to start?
Yeah, controversial one. I'm going to thank David because this has been a super interesting experience for me. I got in touch with so many lovely people because of this. People reached out from all over the world. I've gotten in touch with agencies specializing in AI, creatives that work solely in AI. I literally got jobs in because of this. And it has also opened my eyes on, I did some ChatGPT before, but I feel like this was the kick in the butt for me to really dive into what the tools offer, what it can give me, what it doesn't give me yet. So it's the kickstart of a very interesting journey, and that's all because of him.
Amazing. Simon.
Yeah, interesting. I haven't quite got the feedback. I think it's Joris's video, his Instagram video. But yes, I got a chat on this blog. Meet you, Isusko.
Yeah, nice.
Good. I've enjoyed it today immensely. What was the question again?
Any projects or any way that people can reach out to you, your social media or your agents or anything like that?
Well, I think if people want to reach out, they can. I think people can connect. That's fortunately, if you want to know, if you see people on this, it's very easy to connect. I don't think I need to quote all my
No, fine. I'll put them all in the descriptions.
Oh, that's very good of you. Very good of you.
Yeah. And then people can reach out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I've said my fill actually. But it's been really nice today, and you've
thank you.
handled it really nicely. You made us feel very comfortable.
Thank you both.
Absolutely.
It was lovely. Yeah, really lovely to. Thank you to Simon for organising it. I hope the listeners have got, as I have, a real clear sense that nothing's set in stone here. AI is coming in. We have built the foundations of what the film industry is, and then AI is just going to be bricks and walls of the house that we let it build. So look, ladies and gents, thank you for listening. Subscribe and share, give it all of that, share it to who you can, 5-star rating, and until we meet again, that is a wrap. So that was a chat with the king or queen in the game. I'll give it a shout at the end so you all know the name. It's the Film Gods Podcast. The what? The Film God Podcast.